Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today for our webinar. My name's Kate Burt and I work in the editorial team here at Houzz. In this session, I'm going to talk about sustainability and why it's increasingly important to incorporate it into your business and projects. The editorial team has had the opportunity to interview some of our professionals around the world about how they run their businesses sustainably, what they've learned along the way, and what challenges they face. So today we'll be discussing what makes a business sustainable, how to incorporate sustainability into projects, how to source products sustainably, what are the challenges pros face doing this, and also how has the pandemic affected sustainability efforts. Let's start with what makes a business sustainable. Nowadays, both clients and the industry are more environmentally aware, and businesses are keen to incorporate sustainability into their projects. Some pros we spoke to highlighted solutions that lead directly to a reduction in energy usage and CO2 emissions, boost forest revitalisation and reduce plastic waste. A British architect, Yoko Cloden, approaches the problem from another angle. She says to be a sustainable business, the business has to be profitable. Those builders who cut corners always resort to non-sustainable options as they feel they cannot be profitable without cutting corners. Iba Chacon of Spanish firm Bonsai Arquitectos adds, there are different ways to make a business sustainable. The important thing is that we are all aware of the need to do things differently and that every person contributes their grain of sand. Another professional on Houzz, Daisuke Sanada of Japanese firm Suwa Architects and Engineers, says, use natural energy with as little reliance on fossil fuels as possible. The materials we use should be compostable and of natural origin as much as possible. The next question we asked the professionals was, what's your approach in terms of implementing sustainability in your own business? The Australian architect Mark Bernstein told us his company always tries to lead by example. Otherwise, how can you expect your clients to do the right thing? To illustrate this point, Mark explains he's currently building his own home, a passive house, that will produce more energy than it expends every year. When completed, it will be used as a show home and a workshop space to use to educate the public on sustainable architecture. German construction engineer Dag Schafferzik instead incorporates sustainable techniques into his office, which is in a 1911 building that his firm renovated using natural building materials. These included straw panels, clay and lime-based plaster, hemp insulation, granulated cork panels, lime paint, locally grown oak, and kiboni wood. Let's move on to part 2, where we asked professionals how they were incorporating sustainability into their projects. To kick off, let's start by looking at why sustainability is good for business. Our interviewees highlighted several key benefits for businesses in working sustainably. These include potential savings on construction costs, lower office running costs, it can increase consumer trust, there's added value for the client, and it increases innovation. What are some of the ways professionals are incorporating sustainability into their businesses? Many work to the highest certification standards. Others use energy to create a thermal environment that avoids reliance on fossil fuels as much as possible. On this point, the French architect Tina Merck told us, whenever possible, push systems further. Use recycled rainwater in the bathroom, for example, or heat pumps. She also believes it's vital to work with companies that are also sensitive to sustainable development. Maysa El Fakir of French interior design firm Ouvrage, another pro on Houzz, takes a similar approach and says she sees it as a badge of honour to use vintage or second-hand furniture. It's much easier to find than it used to be, she says. Recycling is a big emphasis for us. This leads us to the next question. What are the factors to keep in mind when trying to source sustainable products and materials? Houzz design professional Eva Chacon, who was mentioned earlier, works actively to reduce her project's environmental impact at all stages. Here are her top tips. The first is about location, specifically reducing the impact of transport as well as promoting local culture and economy. Next, manufacturing. Seek out products made from materials that have a positive impact on the environment. We use an increasingly high percentage of natural materials, said Eva, who describes herself as a wood geek. And then, construction-wise, choose products that have a minimal footprint, that cost almost no energy or water to use on site and do not contribute to air pollution. Also, use low maintenance, non-toxic materials that contribute to a healthy environment. And finally, disposal. When choosing materials, pick those designed to return to natural cycles, transforming into other materials or energy. Architect Mark Bernstein told us a sustainable product should always be good for both the environment and for your health. So, for example, when designing joinery and specifying furniture for our clients' homes, we would always make sure we specify low emission materials. Where possible, we like to include planting into our designs, as there are some plants that can cleanse the air and remove small quantities of what's left in terms of off-gassing. It's a really cheap but great way to make a home more sustainable. Daisuke Sanada highlighted the importance of keeping abreast of new developments. My clients are always interested in the latest innovations, and I'm finding that now more than ever, sustainable products are becoming more sought after, he says. That all sounds great, but what are the challenges involved in making a business more sustainable? Well, as you're probably already well aware, there are several. The first is around construction. Mark Bernstein says, traditionally, the construction industry and lots of its workers are not particularly known for an interest in quote unquote green stuff. So getting everyone on board for simple things like separating construction waste into different bins to allow for recycling on site can sometimes be hard. The Italian architect Fulvio Claudio Mele of Mele Metzen Architects says, the challenges are cultural and, unfortunately, economic. Not always, but sustainable products are slightly more expensive. Other pros agree that the offerings in terms of technical equipment, especially for the kitchen, are still very limited and it can be difficult to find environmentally friendly solutions. How has the pandemic impacted efforts towards sustainability? While sustainability has lost some of its media focus during the pandemic, says Mark Bernstein, people still think about it. Almost all of our clients want to do the right thing. And that's always encouraging and inspires us to create a better home for and a better world with them. He adds, in fact, with COVID-19, we've probably been greener than ever before. From plant-based surfaces to those made with waste products, there's a vast array of sustainable materials to choose from. Here are just a few you could share with your clients. Waste products. The aim for sustainability is driving manufacturers to become more and more innovative. The result is an ever-increasing range of materials that have been constructed from recycled products. Look out, for example, for kitchen worktops made from recycled glass or carpets made from recycled plastic bottles. Work more with wood. Timber is a good choice if you're looking for a sustainable material to use either internally or externally, but it's important to source certified wood, of course. You can also reduce your carbon footprint by sourcing your timber locally. Reuse. A simple, sustainable approach is to use second-hand materials and products. Reclaimed items can be creatively upcycled into something quite beautiful. Favour plant-based materials where possible. These are gaining ground in interiors, with manufacturers using natural products such as pineapple leaves and mushrooms to produce sustainable products. Finally, consider cork. Made from the bark of the cork oak tree, cork can be harvested every 10 years or so without any harm to the tree. It's also antimicrobial, hypoallergenic, biodegradable and recyclable, and can be used on internal walls, floors and furniture. Its insulating properties also make it suitable for external walls. We have a handy worksheet on the landing page where you came to access this video. You'll be able to use it to define your sustainability goals. Use it to start helping your business to save money, to improve your brand perception, and to gain like-minded customers. Feeling overwhelmed? Don't! Before wrapping up this session, I'd like to share an encouraging and inspiring quote from one of the professionals we spoke to, architect Angus Eitel. He said, "Sustainability is less about one or two amazing products or services, but rather a collection of small-scale interventions that, when put together, can have a significant impact." That's all for today. Thank you again so much for joining this webinar. Don't hesitate to head to the stories section on the houzz.co.uk page. And if you have any questions about this webinar or the worksheet, please do send an email to ukprocommunity@houzz.com and we'll get you connected with someone from our team. Goodbye.